Not a huge group over here either. My name is Alex, this is Amanda and Mercedes. We're stepping out to do our 11 o'clock Keep It Talk about our beluga whales. All three of us take care of all the animals here at Wild Arctic, including the belugas, the seals, and the walruses, but we're going to just focus on our whales right now. We have 3 whales that live here with us. This is Oliver, and that is Nunavik, and then our third whale is in the back right now. His name is Grayson. Sometimes we'll have 2 out here, sometimes we'll have 2 in the back, sometimes they'll have access to everything, but right now it's just these 2 here. Pretty commonly asked question about our whales is how do we tell them apart. So if you look at Oliver right here, he's going to be a little bit smaller than Nunavik over there, a little bit further away from me. Oliver is actually older than Nunavik, but he is the smaller of the 2 of these guys. He's about 500 pounds smaller than Nunavik. Nunavik is about 2,000 pounds. And if you can imagine it, they can actually top out at 3,000 pounds, so they have a little bit more growing than they could do. Right now, Oliver's at 14 years old, Nunavik is at 11 years old, so they could still fill out and grow a little bit. Nunavik is a little bit further along. He's got what we call rails, which are those big, they basically look like love handles that go all the way down his side, and Oliver is kind of starting to get those a little bit, but that's just big fat deposits to keep them nice and warm in their cold environment, because belugas do only live in the Arctic, so they got to have a lot of fat to keep them nice and warm in that cold water. Their body fat percentage is about 40, so they got a lot of fat. So they're very, very squishy as well. That's another question we get is how do they feel? Their whole body is pretty much squishy, and if you touched a dolphin today or another opportunity, they do not feel exactly like dolphins. They have a similarly smooth skin, and you can actually feel their skin coming off, just like you might on a dolphin as well, because they do slough off dead skin much faster than we do. But because there is so much more fat under that beluga's skin than there is on the dolphin, they're going to feel a lot squishier. So for comparison, I usually say that a bottlenose dolphin feels kind of like a raw hot dog right out of the package, whereas the belugas here are going to feel like a glob of mozzarella cheese that you might put on a sandwich. So it's got a lot of squish to them for sure. Just talking about their coloration as well, they are obviously white. Their name comes from the Russian word for the color white, and that's going to be another good adaptation for living in the Arctic, because their bodies are basically going to take on the color of whatever light is around them. So if you look at them, you know, your brain tells you, oh, that's a white whale, but if you really look at what color they are right now, you can see that above the water they're kind of grayish looking because of sort of the dimmer light in here, and then under the water you can see their bodies are kind of taking on that blue light that we have from our light bays under the water, and that's going to be exactly how they can hide from predators in the natural environment. Their bodies are just at a distance, they're going to take on the light of whatever's around them, usually just the light that's coming down through the ice, so that's going to be a lot of greens and blues, and it's going to be harder for predators to see them. Now predators that'll go after a beluga whale are primarily just killer whales and then also polar bears. It might seem odd to think about polar bears going after a beluga, because polar bears you think of as walking around on the ice, but they are considered marine mammals, and they're very good swimmers, and they're very strong and powerful. So actually a male polar bear is going to top out somewhere around Oliver's size in terms of weight. So they could maybe not easily, but if they work hard enough, they could get a beluga whale, and that would be like hitting the jackpot for polar bear because of all that fat I talked about. All that fat is going to sustain a polar bear for quite a long time. Yeah. So you have heard some of the noises that these guys have been making. Their nickname is the sea canary. They have a ton of different vocalizations that they can make. They can be high-pitched, they can be low-pitched, like that one over there. All those noises are coming from the blowhole up on top of their head. They don't make any noise with their mouth. Even if their mouth is open when they're making noises, they're actually making all that noise from the blowhole on top of their head. That's the only place that they have an air supply. They don't have vocal cords or anything like that, so they're going to push air out through their blowhole, and they'll manipulate the muscles around that opening to change the different sounds that they can make, just like we use our lips to change the sounds that we make. They got their name sea canary because when explorers were first going to the Arctic in wooden ships, kind of like the one over there, they would hear sort of the twittering of birds underwater through the hulls of the ship. So it sounded like, you know, birds underwater. So they called them the sea canaries a little bit. And yeah, they can also use vocalizations for their echolocation. Echolocation is their sonar system. what they'll do is they'll make a series of clicks from their blowhole that gets sent out through that melon, that big bulbousy forehead that they have, which acts as a lens to focus that into a beam of sound waves that get sent out into the water. Those sound waves will bounce off something and then come back to them, and they actually receive most of their sound through their lower jaw. I'm not sure if you've seen those headphones that you can buy that you just set them on, or like the sunglasses you can wear, and they just they vibrate your bones basically, and that's how you hear. And that's how they hear as well. So they'll pick up those sounds, and then their brain will interpret that into some sort of image of what's around them, and they can use that to hunt and to navigate in the dark or murky water, things like that. They are not able to echolocate like that whale in Finding Dory. So if you've seen the movie Finding Dory, there is a beluga whale that echolocates like no whale has ever echolocated. But that's a little bit of creative license on the part of Pixar a little bit. So I think we'll probably start to wrap things up, or at least I'm going to get off the microphone because I'm running out of things to talk about. So I do encourage you to ask any questions to our education staff member who's somewhere over there, right there. And then continue on through the exhibit. You'll see our 5 male harbor seals out on exhibit, and then past that are the walruses, and then you can go downstairs and you can see all 3 exhibits at underwater viewing. So thanks for joining us for our Beluga Keeper Talk. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.
Katie is on her way here right now.